Good morning, welcome back. So, today I do want to talk about fear and overcoming it. So, there's a number of ways that fear can show up. When we choose to remain small and not really embody our entire selves because we're afraid of being different, being out of what society tells us we need to be. Um, so, we show up in society and we're in this programming and this fear that's not allowing us to show up how we really do want to show up. Fears, it can be crippling, especially to someone who has an unregulated nervous system. So we know that the typical responses are fight or flight. Freeze is also actually a very real response as well. And this is your system's way of fighting fear. So it thinks that it's making you safe or keeping you safe, but really it's just programming and response, like trauma responses, because we've been raised in toxic environments, or maybe you've been in a toxic relationship where you didn't feel safe, or maybe you had an addiction where you were constantly needing to get something to meet your needs in order to feel safe or comfortable and secure. So basically your body becomes imbalanced, and being unsafe was the normal, and now we have to learn how to unfreeze our bodies and get them back in tune with the cycles of nature instead of living in survival mode all the time. So I will once again recommend root chakra work, inner child work, and self-soothing. So talking to yourself like someone you love. When you feel scared, it's okay, nothing's happening, you're safe, we can do this, we're going to get through this. Okay, take a deep breath and be like, hey, if you were talking to your child, like, hey, it's going to be okay. Yeah, this happened, but we're going to get through it. Talk to yourself like that. Soothe yourself. So, like, for me, after my hermit mode, I would go, like, making all these lists after lists after lists after lists about what I wanted, what it was that I wanted to accomplish and achieve. But my response was freeze. So I would, like, be terrified to get out of the house. So I'm stuck. Now I'm stuck. Like, I want to do all these things, but I'm stuck. And then when I do go out, I feel scared and anxious, and I don't want to talk to people. So I'm just avoiding them altogether with my headphones in. That's how it was at the beginning. So then finally, I stopped wearing my headphones so much, and I knew that I had to start communicating with people. It's just a part of my journey. Communication has always been, like, in college I took communications. I knew I have been in a drama for many years in high school. Like, I always knew part of my journey was going to be speaking, being on stage, something of this sort. So I had to start communicating with people. And I went out into the world scared shitless, for sure. So when I started, I felt like I couldn't really articulate sentences. I would be like, it would come out weird. Like, I would just always say, like, why did it come out like that? I don't understand. And I would be embarrassed because I knew what I wanted to say, but it never came out right. So this is actually a throat chakra imbalance, and it actually is where a lot of fear can become trapped here. If you have a blocked or imbalanced throat chakra, you can experience a lot of fear, gossiping, talking loudly or excessively, feeling insecure, feeling anxious when communicating, not being truthful. A lot of fears here. Insecurities here. Like, have you ever been talking to somebody and then you're not even listening to them because you're thinking, like, what do I look like while I'm talking to them? That is also a big sign of an imbalance, but that actually comes from the insecurity mixed with self-centeredness. So you're being egoic instead of living from your soul, and that's why you're not. That's because what is your relationship to self versus other? Are we allies? Are we enemies? What's your relationship with others in the world? That's a great thing to look into. So being ungrounded while talking to people is like when you're all the way up here, you're in your head, you're not listening to them because you're not grounded. That goes back to your root chakra. So when we go out into the world, all of these things become stuff that we have to walk through and push through. And instead of looking at it like it's anxiety and fear, well, anxiety and excitement are just the same stick at different ends. So instead, you can reframe your perspective and say, instead, I am actually so excited to interact and make connections with people in the world that I'm becoming ungrounded. So how can I show up differently interacting with others in a more grounded way? Now, grounding practices are so important. That's how you help yourself become present in the moment. Root chakra work. We're back to the root chakra. I'm telling you, everything comes down to chakras. Energy work is so important. So, grounding practices in the morning are helpful. Doing a walk in nature, meditation, seeing yourself as a tree, growing roots. Like, I love doing that one. Each time you step up to your fear, like, here's my fear, I'm going to step up and move through it. That's a big win. You get to celebrate, and every time now you're going to be excited. Like, oh, here's another fear that I get to push through, and then we get to celebrate. Yeah, sick. So it becomes like a little fun, courageous hero's journey, and it doesn't have to be scary. And don't judge yourself either, because that's another throat chakra thing. Judging yourself and judging others. No judgments needed. We're all on different parts of our journey, and we're all going through exactly what we need to be going through, exactly when we need to be going through it. So I like to push myself to be brave so I can show up in a way that speaks to my heart, regardless of how society and others view me, because other people's opinions of me don't matter. I'm happy in myself, so who the fuck cares? That's how you can be too. Like, who the fuck cares? Because I'm living the life I want. I'm being the person I want. I enjoy my own company so much that I do not give a fuck what others think. I'm literally my own best friend. And sometimes when you choose not to conform, say, fuck no, I'm not going to be insecure in a society that thrives off of people's insecurity. Every single thing comes down to insecurity. You buy this because, like makeup, we buy it because we don't feel good about ourselves or whatever. You know, so many different things stem from insecurity. But I'm exactly perfect in this moment for my journey. So you got to practice a lot of self-love, a lot of self-confidence, also solar plexus chakra, where self-confidence comes from, that it's not egotistical. It's a self-confidence that says, I'm living from my soul. So how can you make me feel less than? You can't, because my confidence is unshakable, because it comes from somewhere that's not an external thing, it's an internal thing, right? It doesn't come from the material, and it does show up in my outside world as good things, or others who show me the same respect and admiration that I show myself. And I see them, and I can see them, and they see me, and we see each other, and we respect each other, and we respect our strengths. We stay humble, and then you can build healthy relationships from there. Know that you're not above others. It's so important, because that's where the reactivity versus response ability, so your ability to respond, comes in. Once you accept that you're not your emotions, you're not your thoughts, they're programming and patterning that can be observed and healed. And then you raise your vibration, and you raise to higher levels of awareness, and your life upgrades. You will not feel the same about things that you used to feel about, and that's okay. Let it go with grace. Triggers are gifts, but don't condemn yourself for overreacting every now and then, because we are not perfect, and we're not here to be perfect. When we make mistakes, we need to be detaching from guilt and shame that comes along with it, because it's essential to not feel guilty or shamed. This world is full of mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. So I'm going to see this. This is what I did. This is how I showed up. And this is not how I wanted to show up, but unfortunately it is. When this situation arises next, how do I want to show up? Implement that. So that way you know. So you're doing introspection. You're saying this is, and you know how you want to show up. And now you can implement that the next time something like this comes around. Triggers are a gift. They really are. It shows you where you're not free. Okay. So, you'll know when you do something that's not in alignment with yourself because it feels like you're being jilted. Like, usually I feel calm, and then like, oh, now you're feeling a little jilted because you didn't like what you did. Or your inner being, your soul didn't like what you did. So now you just observe that and say, okay, well, then next time I'm going to do it this way. You don't have to be like, oh my God, I did that. It's not that big of a deal. This is how we mature. And this is how we become who we are without reacting from patterns and trauma. We're able to show up and communicate and deal with things in our life from a more mature, aligned, and enlightened way. And you keep on stepping up, it becomes easier, and eventually it's just who you are. And then you don't care that you're a weirdo, and you don't care about people liking you or playing small because you're afraid, or even if you're afraid people will be jealous of you, because if they are, well, that's their problem. And it's honestly probably a gift that they are, because it's going to force them to rise up themselves. So, triggering others is also a gift. So we can all shine like the sky full of stars, right? But we got to keep going through our shit, keep up leveling in the process. And if you need help changing your fear into love, I highly recommend a Kali meditation. She's the demon slayer. She is Shakti. She's divine feminine. She wants to give you everything, and she will take all of the things that are keeping you small in order to show you who you really are. You'll start being really surprised of a new version of yourself that emerges, and like even you'll be like, oh wow, I'm getting to know this new version of me, and it's nice. So I hope this helps, and I'll see you guys in the next one.